Welcome to the Suli Show.
I love your person, man, because you're Ahmed. You're Ahmed. You're a natural guy, man. The guy I want to talk to. Ahmed. Natural guy.
Party on.
Baya.
Party on.
Baya.
My bro, what's going on?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How's your day?
That day was blessed, brother. That day was blessed. You know, you have to give thanks. Another day to breathe, another day to be on God's green earth. Gotta give thanks, man.
So you and I met where?
We met at Party on Baya. To my understanding, you're a great friend of Don Richie. You came through. Don Richie let me know that, yo, my boy's coming to film. Ever since then, I'm like, this guy has a clean heart. This guy's doing amazing work, amazing content. So whenever the boy calls me, I gotta pull up. You know what I mean?
Nah. Listen, man. You're making me blush right now. Bro, listen to you, bro. Listen. So when I got there for the show, I was there for Don Richie, as you said. Right. Originally there, he told me he had some of his friends who are performing, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take some shots for them. But I had no idea that there were that many talent that exists in the city of Toronto, and the fact that you can bring people together like that, I think, is one of your biggest talents.
Thank you, bro.
So, question: How do you get people together? What's that skill about you that you normally use that really helps you get people together? Because not only have I seen you doing it at Party on Baya, but you also did it at the open mics, right? I've seen you all throughout your content. You're everywhere, man. What's going on?
I would say, like, how I get the people together is by, you know, in life there's a need. And there's definitely a need for mental health. There's definitely a need for music. There's definitely a need for artists to have a space to perform. And I've noticed the own struggle I've experienced in my own career trying to make that happen for myself. So I just believe that we're supposed to honor in the way of our ancestors. So a queen like Harriet Tubman, you know what I mean? Like, who opened doors for herself but didn't feel free until she showed the other people how to get through herself as well. So I look at it in that regard, that whatever barrier I can break, I'm gonna break it for my brothers and my sisters as well. Which is why over time people just have to understand this is the place to go when you're looking for those spaces where my heart is pure. I want to create a space for other people to be able to facilitate that space, and me giving you light does not take away any light from me. So, yeah.
So Harriet Tubman, ancestors.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about your ancestors, a little bit about your background. You're from Congo.
Yeah, I'm from Congo. Born and raised in Toronto, Canada, specifically in the Jane and Finch area, but my roots are of Congolese descent. I think being African is something that in the beginning a lot of people, you know, insulted us for. You know, you heard the term African booty scratcher, all that crazy stuff. But later on through life, I really learned to see and accept that, yo, like, I was proud to be black way before Black Panther and Wakanda and all that juice, you know what I mean? Like, I was definitely in love with my African culture, and I'm very proud to claim I'm that from there.
Is that why you wrote the song Black Skin?
Fell in love with your melanin. Yeah. Dark skin, brown skin, light skin, we all black, so I divide. I envision the world with no division. The darker the berry.
Yeah, you know, the song, it definitely, because it's like,
Tell me about it.
you know, growing up, being dark-skinned wasn't a glorious thing. You know, being dark-skinned was something that people shamed you for. To the point where, like, a lot of my brothers and sisters, when we were outside in middle school, a lot of us would be avoiding the sun, not knowing that the sun is what your body and your skin needs for proper nutrients. And, you know, one day I just kind of realized, I'm like, God made me beautifully the way I am. And I don't need to run away from the sun. I need to embrace the sun because I need sunlight, because I am light. So the song Black Skin, I was just trying to show people that it's like, yo, embrace your skin and don't let nobody tell you different. God gave you that because it's beautiful for you. God gave you the sun so you can smile and, you know, wild out when it comes to you. You know what I mean? Some people literally tan to get darker. Well, some of us are already dark. We don't need to do that. You feel me? So, yeah.
So, home life, Toronto, Jane, and Finch.
Right.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, man. Being raised in the area of Jane and Finch came with a lot of negative stereotypes. You know what I mean? Like, I was definitely never the quote-unquote hood guy. Like, I never was into politics. I never bothered nobody. I'm pretty loose from the hood. I can go anywhere and everywhere. But in the beginning, I was definitely kept sheltered from Jane and Finch. Like it was just like school and straight home. I didn't get a chance to play at the ball court, soccer, none of that. If I didn't do it at school, that was never going. And I went to school outside the hood. I went to a French school called Monsignor Chaponnet. And you know, so for me, I started to understand my area when I was like 15. So when I was 15 on the scene, a lot of the politics had already calmed down by then. So I wasn't dealing with much violence, but I was dealing with the fact that there's no recording studio in the hood. There's no programs that really do help artists become artists. And I felt like art was my purpose. So for me personally, growing up in the area, I just dedicated my whole time there to developing my artistry and fighting for programs and things that would help us develop as artists by becoming a pioneer of it myself. So, which is why I'm blessed to have an organization in the hood, to facilitate that purpose. Okay.
So we'll speak about that. Jane and Finch speaks, right?
Jane Street speaks.
So Jane Street speaks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that.
For sure.
But one thing you mentioned there, which is one thing I really like, which kind of reminded me of myself too when I was growing up, also in the hood, which is stay neutral. How do you stay neutral in the hood, knowing that there's a lot of stuff going around you? There's a lot of stereotypes. When you walk down the street, a certain group of people think of you a certain way based on where you're coming from, but you're not representing that. At the same time, some of your friends might not look at you as being tough enough or being able to handle some of the challenges they're handling. And so balancing that out and staying neutral in the hood and trying to do the best you can while living in the hood. Like how is that? Tell me about it.
Great question. I think, first of all, God allowed me to. And the people in my area also allowed me to, because I don't think I ever tried to. I think I just was myself, and God kept me sheltered and safe for all of those years. And so to me it's like, it's unfortunate that, because some people like myself who aren't into hood politics at all, I lived in Tobermory. Jane and Finch Mall is right beside Palisades. So it's kind of messed up that I could go to grab my groceries and I can automatically be in some hood beef because I come from Tobermory. But the way that I've always been able to be free and not be bothered is because I never walked around with that energy that I'm looking to aggress anybody. But I do have to give grace to those innocent bystanders who got caught in the crossfire. I'm just thankful that God allowed me to be safe throughout all those years. So to me, it's like the best way to be neutral is to just walk around with a clean heart. Of course, be aware of your surroundings and be aware of the things that are happening around you, because you don't become an innocent bystander by no reason. You have to be aware of your surroundings as much as possible. But to me, the best way to be neutral in the hood is just be yourself and do you and do what you love and spread your love and spread your kindness and spread your hope. Nobody will ever look to you for anything in that regard if you don't walk around with that energy. But for guys who are, portraying a certain lifestyle that does not speak to them, if it speaks to you, cool, do your thing. And for me, even growing up, when I got told, where do you come from? I just said Africa. I just knew like that was the best response to avoid problems. It kind of automatically threw, and I realized, I'm like, you don't own this block. Housing does. If housing says you guys are going to Brampton, shit. So over time, I started to understand, I'm like, you're holding on to this block because you feel blocked in life. You really think you own this piece of property. This is not a mortgage. Like this right here, you can get shipped anytime. So like over time as a kid, I just grew to understand, I'm like, these men are just, like Jay-Z spoke about, a lot of these men are afraid to be seen. What are you looking at? Oh, you're afraid I'm looking at you. You're afraid I see you. So to me, it's like the concept of being neutral in the hood, and whenever you're being aggressive or wherever you're located, you have to understand you're dealing with somebody who they don't have much. So what they have is trying to hold on to. All that person is trying to do is identify, am I an enemy according to my location? But none of us picked to be in housing. We were all born into it for a lot of us, you know what I'm saying? Especially for the kids, for parents, you know what I mean? So to me, the best way to be neutral is to just be knowledgeable. But definitely, I like to say that to just help us understand we don't own the hood. And by being an aggressor in the hood, you're not giving to the hood, you're taking away from the hood. So your attempt to protect your block is blocking everybody from living a lifestyle. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, do what you gotta do to make your money, but yeah, just want to say that. But yeah.
So funny you mentioned Jay-Z, because once you said that, I thought about a song by Nas called "The Second Childhood." I don't know if you ever.
Of course I know that.
You know that joint.
Of course I know that joint.
Okay.
That joint is some real shit, man. Like, yeah, that joint is real
right? And from what I know, like especially, it's like there's two ways that people can live their second childhood, which is like, you know, some people that cannot outgrow their youth.
Yeah.
And constant, like what you're talking about, still like you don't own this hood.
Yeah.
But you're still acting like you own this hood, and you can never grow out of that part of youth.
Yeah.
And there's other part with just a disability, and someone, you know, is an older person but has a disability and living a younger child.
Yeah.
But that, it's funny you say that, because that's what I started thinking about. So it's like, how do you promote growth, and especially how do you push growth in your own personal life, and what helps you grow?
Great question again. Yeah, I think just to touch on it, that Second Childhood song is a real track. And I think we were talking about it off camera before, you know, a life after high school and what happens. Because remember, high school gives you a building to go to every day. But the second that's done, where do you go to? What do you do? And what is it, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of guys that were too cool for school in high school, later on, not reading and writing and not being mentally developed, will, you know, it won't be as cool as you think. So I think I just learned over a span of time that a certain lifestyle that young women were attracted to in the high school state, I'm like, that's not going to be cute when you're looking for a father to raise your kids, or you're looking for somebody to pay your bills and your boyfriend doesn't have no receipts of anything. Like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? So like, over a span of time, if you're, to me, how I promote growth is like, I just always challenge myself that by next year, you should be in a higher space, and being real with myself what's the area in my life where I'm at a pause, you know, where there's no growth in here, you know, because you can't only focus on your great qualities. You have to be, as a man, I believe you have to be all well-rounded, well properly developed. I believe the same thing for women. So you always have to keep it a buck with yourself and hold yourself accountable, you know. So to me, I think I promote growth by just challenging myself to be better every year, challenging myself to be better every day, and only competing with the person in the mirror, you know. But you have to be competing with the person in the mirror, you know what I'm saying, and try your best to become better, because the last thing you want to do is be in your second childhood, because you don't want to be in your second childhood with children. Like, how are you raising them? Who's raising who? You know what I'm saying? So, and as a man or a woman, you have to expect that one day you will have a family. You know what I mean? Whether that's your blood family or whatever, one day you will be put in a position of leadership. And if you can't lead yourself, how could you lead a nation? How could you lead a child? How could you lead anybody? You feel me? So,
a wise man once told me the biggest investment you can ever make in your life is your children.
You should talk to me. It's true.
So, based on, you know, your involvement and how much you put in, you know, the last thing you want to do is leave this place with someone who is going to be a havoc, or is going to cause mess, or you can leave this world with someone who is a positive member of society, right? So what you're saying there is really real.
Yeah.
Right, and living your second childhood, it's very important to break that chain.
In other words, it's called a waste sheet. Not said it prophetically, but in other words, you don't want to be a waste sheet, G. You don't want to be a waste sheet. Don't be on your second childhood, boom. That's it. Second childhood. Child in the hood in your second adult. Like that song. Oh my God, bro.
I know you're gonna listen to after this interview.
Yeah, for sure.
So, who impacted you the most growing up?
I would say my friends. You know, like I always say, you cannot control the family you're born into, whatever trauma you come from, the generational curses in your family, or the beauty of your family. You can't control that. But the family you make on the streets, that's who you chose to call brother, sister, you know, who you chose to look as a mother figure or a father figure. And I was just blessed that God constantly allows me to cross paths like Brother Ahmed, with people who are in alignment with where I'm going. You know, like I'm not the biggest fan of religion, but I can see within all these books, the men that linked up it's because life was in alignment with, they were all in the same purpose. So I was just blessed that by the age of 15, my boy Isaiah told me about a program called Lost Lyrics that helped youth develop their artistic skills, and I never had that in the hood, so I soaked all of that in. And then every time we would come back to the hood after the program, I just came back to the community with so much more knowledge and so much more of a drive. And then I started to understand, like, you know, like, yo, the reason why people don't grow is because people don't see more than their hood. And my friend allowed me the opportunity to see more, so I told myself, there's no way I could not do the same for youth. And then for meeting that friend, then I met Reuben, who's a 2-time Juno-nominated artist now. And he took me into a studio and he recorded me, and I just was getting this exposure to things that I knew that these other kids are not getting. And that's purely because they're just not meeting these people. And I was just blessed that God put this purpose in my heart, that my life always fell in alignment where I just meet people who are on that drive. So I would say, like, I have to big it up to all my friends, because without them and them guiding me, and so it's not like they did any, it's not like they put in the work for me, but just think, here, it does everything for somebody. Because it's just like, I could be running around in circles, but my friend could be like, yo, and then from there it's up to me, you know. So I have to give it up to my friends for impacting my life in a positive fashion. Once again, scratch that, not my friends, my family, because they're the family that I chose in this life to adopt in this life, you feel me? So, yeah.
Tell me about Reuben.
Reuben, he's a great father figure in my life. And Reuben, I met him at 16, and he, you know, was mad chill. I came in at the time there was a studio called Palisades Media Arts Academy in the hood. I came in there. He recorded me for an hour. In the context of an hour, I recorded like 10 poems. And the reason why I did that is because I never knew when I was going to get in the booth again. Because remember, I'm not used to, like, in my head I'm thinking this is going to be my last chance here. And then he's like, yo, you just did 10 in an hour. You know, I did an EP in an hour. And he was like, from there he just knew that I was a special kind of person, a special kind of artist. And I rocked with him and stayed close. And unfortunately, that studio got shut down because they claimed it was lack of funding. We did some more research, and there was 150,000 missing in funding, so it wasn't really lack of funding, there was theft done. And looking deeper into it, it was done by the own organizers of the space, which was how the struggle of finding space in the hood came about. From there, I still worked with Reuben on and off, and I supported him throughout that timeline of fighting that court case. But most importantly, what happened in that timeline is, in the midst of fighting for that studio to reopen, I was given, the rallies were done. And I was given a microphone during the rally. I'll show you the picture after. And that was when my community advocacy started. So Reuben indirectly launched me into activism and artivism at the same time by inviting me in the studio to record me. And then I was a part of the fight for the studio to come back. So all of that translated into me becoming like more than just an artist, but being an artivist, which is what we call it. You know what I'm saying? So Reuben really just, and you know, Reuben fights for social change in his own ways, and he just guided me in so many ways. Like when I look, a lot of my performance skills I learned from him. The fight that my literal start to, like, literally, bro, hold on. See this right here? So I said it before, Palisades Media. So Palisades Media Arts Academy. In recognition of your leadership to the Save the Pima campaign. So yeah, Palisades Media Arts Academy, this is 2014. You feel me? Like, I put in the work as an activist, and I'm 25 now, 2014, so who knows how young I was. But that's when the journey started for me, of like really understanding, and you know what I mean? And we'll get the proper visual after, and it goes far, because even in this is 2022, and I'm still getting community awards, you know? So what Reuben did for me was not only help me become an artist, but help me become an activist. And I know now that like that's truly my path and that's truly where I'm supposed to take it. You feel me?
What does it mean to be an activist?
I think what it means to be an activist is to fight for change you believe should happen. A lot of people become trendy activists, overnight social media activists because they feel compelled to because everybody's speaking about this. But real activism starts when you say there's a problem in the world and if I complain, I'm a part of the problem. If I add solutions, I'm a part of the solution, baby. So what I decided to do with activism is just, if I think that there's not enough opportunities for artists to get booked in the city, we're not going to complain. We're going to book our own shows and we're going to bring our people through the door. And that's what we're going to do. If I believe that there should be more awareness spread for autism, Asperger's, sickle cell, Down syndrome, and more of those things, I can't waste a second complaining about it. I have to link with people and do something about it. So to me, activism doesn't just mean going on the streets and rallying. Our people have done that for 400 years. Rallying is only the start. The real activism is the emails you send, the videos you take, the pictures you take, the awareness you spread, and whatever you do to facilitate this problem in the world. Because there's many problems in the world, and there's problem solvers, or there's problem revolvers, or there's just complainers. I'd rather be a part of the solution. So to me, activism is using your art or whatever you have to push forward this fight. That's it.
Many people say, well, I like to think that also when you're an activist and a true activist, you also sometimes have to question many of the things that you're also a part of.
Yes, of course.
Right? And that balance is sometimes the hardest thing for many people to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, many of our like popular activism, some of the people in our that changed the game, you know, from the Malcolm X and Martin Luther Kings and I can go on. It comes with a big sacrifice.
Yes.
Right? So at what point do you understand that, hey, I want to push my activism to a certain position where, you know what, at the end of the day, I want to be secure and supported. However, at the same time, I want to push for a certain message that showcases that, hey, I'm a strong activist. So that sacrifice part is what I'm talking about.
Right.
How much does it take to sacrifice for your activism to be really true?
You know, you're absolutely right. Whenever you accept anything, that does come with a sacrifice. And I think what you have to...
So like for example, Kaepernick.
Right.
Sacrifices like his career in football. So that's an example.
Well, I think the first thing I sacrificed for myself was I knew I was going to be the outcast. That's the first thing. I knew that the decisions that I took on in life and just deciding to be about a deeper cause and a deeper change in a land of people who just live life in a very numb aspect. It's like some people just live life and they're a body without a spirit. They're just school, marriage, kids, house, dog, friends. They're just operating very robotically. There's not much sauce to what they're doing. So to me, when you're looking at the concept of sacrifice, all right, if I'm saying support local before global, that means I have to take my time to go support other artists besides just me. I have to take my time to listen to the new music in Toronto that's up. I have to take my time to search for these artists, to uplift these artists. I have to take my time to go read about autism, to go read about sickle cell, to go read about... So the first thing as human beings we have to sacrifice is our time. If you analyze the way we spend time, how much does your time really benefit society in the larger part of the world? What about your 24 hours is making the way this world spins remotely any better by any percentage? And if you think about what are things that I can do to better this world, because you're living in it, and your children are living in it, and your grandchildren will live in it. So whatever contribution you do, to me, the number one thing you have to sacrifice is time. Because from when you sacrifice your time, you're sacrificing something spiritual because you can't get time back. So that all that time you invested, the universe will reciprocate and bless you, and you gotta hold yourself accountable, right? I can't say support local before global, and every time you see me, I'm in Gucci and designer. This is a brand by a local dispensary. Like every time, you can't see my shorts, but like I always, I'm 9 times out of 10, you're gonna see me, I'm rocking something local. And I will always choose to rock something local over anything global, because I'd rather make this hot, you feel me? So to me, like the concept of activism and what you have to sacrifice according to the way you carry in life, the Capricorn obviously have to sacrifice his career for a time. I think he got signed now, right?
No, it's good, it's done.
He's done?
Done.
Well, that's what he has to sacrifice for, because at the end of the day, you get to a place where it's like, I enjoy the game, but if I'm gonna play the game under the consequence that I'm not gonna be me, I can't do it. It's not fun anymore. There's no purpose to it. So to me, guys like Kaepernick are blessed. You got a chance to dominate the football field, and then you got a chance to say, yo, I'm putting this down and I'm gonna dominate my ability to speak. Like NFL, you see the term not for long. Like, and how much, you know, things have come out about, you know, about NFL and like concussions and about unsafe ways for players to play. Like any player who is, you know, who I rate that man for caring more about his integrity more than his pockets, and he'll be in the books forever. You know what I mean? Like he'll be in the books forever. I'd rather be, no, I did both. No one can ever question that man. No one can ever question it.
Yo, let's talk music.
Talk to me. Talk to me. Yeah.
Are you a poet or a musician? Or are you both?
Both. I would say the power. Music is poetry. It's just poetry and rhythm, you know. So, and I think that's when you make the best music. When your music sounds good a cappella, because this is poetry and rhythm. You know what I'm saying?
Music-wise, who inspires you? Whether it's from writing, creativity.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be one person.
All good. I'm inspired by good music. I'm inspired by anybody making good, authentic music. I feel like if we're going global, of course, Michael Jackson is on the list, and you know what I'm saying, and he just inspired me because, bro, his level of range in vocals and sound and his level of catalog, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, as a kid, when I discovered him, because at first I was scared of him because of Thriller, you know what I'm saying? So we all avoided him for after Thriller. I wanted in my bed. And then when he passed away and you took him, you're like, Billy Jeez. It's just like, it's like everything is licking you, and then you realize, no, like, people are this good. And then from Michael came something like Chris Brown that, you know what I'm saying, like, is another person that inspires me. And then you look back at Chris Brown, you're like, wait, Usher is here. Then you just start doing a real discovery in music, and you start noticing that, like, yo, like, I love music that is not quote unquote Toronto culture music. Like, I rock with all those tracks too. But when I say I love good music, I love music that the world, because I love world artists. Bob Marley, Nas, Jake, these are world artists. Like, anybody can say it's a hard knock life for us, whether that's my dad, my mom, my kid, anybody. So I like music that translates to all audience. I typically don't listen to music that only a certain section of people can listen to. So anybody who's making good music meant for the world to consume, that's what I probably rock with.
Me and my boy once had a discussion, and it almost turned into a debate.
Yep.
And my part was that the discussion was on who is the most recognizable face in the world, and it has to be a musician or an artist. Yeah. And the two names I can think of, maybe you can think of other two names, and I will challenge you to.
Okay.
Is Bob Marley and Michael Jackson.
Of course, world artists. One Love, Heal the World, world song.
I'm talking about you go down to North Korea, and then they know Billie Jean. Some places that you wouldn't even think of.
Because they make music for everybody to listen to. That when you make a song like One Heart, One Love, you're saying unity. You're saying I'm here, you're in Japan, but we're one. When you're saying heal the world, he's not saying heal just my country, heal the United States. He's saying heal the world. When you make world music, you're gonna be the most renowned face in the world. It's just natural. And it's not even really your face, it's your spirits. You see what I'm saying? Like Bob Marley, Michael, those guys are spirits, B. You know what I mean? Like what they left on this earth, bro, just music alone. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I agree with you on those. Yeah, I agree. I just went to the Bob Marley exhibition a while ago. It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful just to see that man's legacy. You know what I mean? And like, and I'm sure Bob Marley was obviously not around for, you know, all his children, but I think his children were raised off of his legacy, which shows the importance of focusing on your purpose. That literally, Bob Marley is a father figure to the world, and we're looking at his music and what he left behind to raise us. You know what I'm saying? So those guys, bro, you can only hope when your time is out that you're in the same conversation as those guys. You can only hope. You know what I'm saying?
The first song I can remember when I was a child and I was growing up in Eritrea, in Africa, was It's This Love by Bob Marley. So I would say my first introduction to music was Bob Marley.
That's a pretty great introduction to music. That's because that's real music. That's what I define by good music.
I'll never forget that song.
Remember, those guys are making though they don't have half of what we have to record now. They don't have. They're making that song off of feeling. They're not following. They're just spiritual.
Well, this brings me to my next question, which is, what goes into writing good music?
Good feelings.
Okay.
You know what? What goes into writing good music is the ability to express how you feel. And then, to me, in my personal opinion, I think the issue, and when I was writing music before, and I don't think I was writing music, I was writing therapy. And music can definitely be therapeutic. But if music is your only source of therapy, that's when you start to hear all rappers do nothing but complain. Gotta get my mom out the hood, gotta get my dad out the hood, gotta just, you are constantly looking at your music as a source of stress, as this is my only way to talk to people. So you're not able to make happy music because you're not living a happy life. And you think your only way of talking is music. So to me, the keynote to making good music is have a good life. So that when you sit and make music, it's like, it's gonna be good because you're good. But a lot of artists aren't good. If you even listen to a lot of songs now, you see artists blatantly talk about suicide in their music. They tell you that they're not okay, but we're doing this. Molly Percocets, that can kill you. That can kill you. But we don't understand. These guys aren't good. They're gonna die soon if they continue with this lifestyle, this way of going about life. And that's what I mean by that. To me, it's good music, but you know what I mean? Like,
so this kind of goes back to the to staying neutral part earlier, what we talked about, and also walking your lane.
Yeah.
Where you're saying is interesting, because some people debate you and say that, well, that's not hot. So
it's up to you to make it hot.
So how do you balance it between staying true to yourself at the same time trying to do the best you can to make good music where others can now really enjoy it, knowing that you live in a society where the opposite is what is hot and what people are interested in, and what sometimes many people say the industry's push?
Yeah, I've heard this for you before, and I think, bro, there's something to be said about intentions. It's now considered corny to be real. You know what I mean? Like, if I go to the studio with it, I'm gonna make positive music that's gonna, I don't do none of that. I go to the studio and I make music, and I do it off of how I feel. But remember, I'm good though. I've ensured that my mental health is in a good position. So whatever I put down on a piece of paper, I owe nobody an apology because this music is how I feel. You don't like it, you don't have to listen. Because at the end of the day, it's all feelings, right? And all I'm saying is every artist should look into their own life and say, do I feel good? Because I'm about to put sound and audio out to the world, and my energy will be felt on this track. You know what I'm saying? So to me, the key to making good music is to make authentic music. If you feel like Marley Percocets is you, that's cool. I would hope though within your catalog that there's more than just that. And that's more what I mean. That you have to make music about more than, like you just have to be diverse if you personally ask me, if you want to appeal to different people or whatever it is. But that's your business at the end of the day. But to me, I don't go in the studio thinking of trying to make something positive or whatever. I just do me. Whatever comes out comes. But all I'm saying is like I make sure I'm good so that I'm not spreading my depression or my anxiety. Even if I want to make a song about depression or anxiety, I want to control what I release. I don't want to talk about a struggle that I'm still struggling with. I want to talk about the struggle when I've gone through it. I want to give a life lesson from it, and I want to spread hope, take you from light to dark. I don't want to keep you within darkness. What would be the point of doing that? You know, but sometimes artists do that. You know what I mean? And I don't fault them at all, but I question them of like, well, what do you want this to do? How do you want people to feel? Because there's nothing wrong with making people relate to you, but if I'm going to bring you to a dark space but I'll bring you to the light, I'm assuming that you have the capacity to handle that dark space. I've already been there. I'm not going to bring you there without giving you the hand to get out. You feel me? But how can I help you get out if I haven't gotten out? Which is why I wouldn't talk about things that are still hot. You know, but that's me.
I spent the last couple of days listening to your catalog and listening to music.
Yeah.
And one song, I can go on and talk about a couple of songs, but for time I'm going to focus on one song, and I want you to talk about it. And it's by far my favorite song that you have, that you wrote, that you produced, and that you put out there. Rise Above It.
Yeah. Yeah.
Featuring Kibra. Is that how you pronounce the name?
Yep.
Alright, tell me about it.
Right. So rise above it, hey, got it. So at the end of the day, I realized when I heard that beat, I said, this beat is hard. And then I had the chorus in my head, just kept saying rise above it, rise above it. And then at the time I lived on Sentinel, and Kibra is actually my neighbor. Well, she was my neighbor when I lived there. And I seen her on the street, I said, I need you to sing this hook for me and come to the studio with me right now. She's like, what? I'm walking my dog. I'm like, hey, bro, please, I got this hook in my head. I just need you to deliver it for me. I hounded her to go to the studio. We went there. She laid the hook down. And then when I thought of the verse, I'm like, I could decide to go deep throughout the whole song and make Rise Above It like some fight from depression or whatever kind of, but I decided I'm gonna make this song a party song and make everybody feel light and forget about their problems. And when the chorus comes in, whatever you're rising above, man, just dance it out. And then on the third verse I say, rise above it, God, beloved, I'm talking to my beloved, I'm trying to keep it 100, my words are like the Bible, reliable. When you go through trials and tribulation, the nation needs you so you don't quit. Rise, come through, fly like you just landed, and your presence is demanded. Them haters can't stand it, but you know we rise, baby. And what I meant by that is, no matter what you're going through, no matter how difficult, no matter how hard it is, rise above it. And by not making the first two verses incredibly deep, I allow you to know the best way to rise above it is to let it go. Have fun. Allow yourself to feel joy. Allow yourself to feel happiness. Allow yourself to feel light. Allow yourself to just, this is like, you don't always need to talk. Sometimes when you talk about the things that bring a negative feeling, your overall feeling is negative. But when you're just rising above it, and you already know what you're rising above it. You know it because you always talk about it. But when you are partying through it, when the music licks you, you already know I'm rising above depression, anxiety, but you don't need to talk about it. You just need to dance it out. There is a time to talk about it. That 1 hour therapy session you had, cool, put down that topic. Allow your brain to think about different things, feel about different things, because the issue in society is we talk about things too much with no means to a solution. But when you allow yourself to, I feel depressed, but I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go for a hike. I'm gonna go check my boy for a dinner. I'm gonna go call my mom. I'm gonna occupy my day with so much activity that all I do is feel the last activity I did, and my last activity was positive. Yes, I took the time to talk about how I felt. So Rise Above was just one of those tracks where I'm like, I'm gonna help people let go and have fun. And the track did just that.
That's what's up. Help me finish this track, or this lyrics. Baby girl is a heartbreaker.
break up. Gee.
When I say baby girl is a heartbreaker, breaker. She's in love with a money maker. Maker. Baby girl is a heartbreaker. Breaker. She's in love with a money maker. Maker. Yo, more like she's in love with a heartbreaker. Like a baby, I'm a money maker. Like a baby, I'm a heart taker. Come make a save ya. On surface with no purpose, living nervous.
How did that song come about?
Yo, one thing, bro. To be very honest with you, I did Rise Above It, and no wait, did I do that the same night? Nah, I did other song. Okay, so Heartbreaker, how it came about is, no, I'm capping. Yes, I did Rise Above It and Heartbreaker the same day. So I was at the studio. I called Kareem, and I'm like, yo,
Don Richie,
you know what I mean? I called him and I'm like, yo, I'm in the studio right now, take this in. And I rapped in my verse with the beat playing in the back. He's like, yeah, and then he drove down, he wrote his verse. He didn't even write his verse. He just kept the beat playing in his head, and he would just voice out what he was gonna say in the verse, and he created a bunch of voice notes and pieced it together. Like he was just going all the way in. And to me, bro, Heartbreaker is just one of those songs where it's like, you know, we've all got our heart broken before, but am I gonna make she's a heartbreaker and she broke my heart, or am I gonna say, baby girl is a heartbreaker, breaker? And you know, chances are you got your heart broken by a girl who's into money makers, and you probably didn't have money, so I said, and she loved with a money maker. So I like to make these things that you go through in life fun, you know what I mean? Like, that's what people want to hear. You guys don't want to hear me say, she left me for a man with money and broke my heart. You guys want to hear baby girl is and it's cool, because I rather translate pain into fun, you know what I mean? And then from there you realize you don't even need the funds, you just need the heart. You know what I'm saying? You just need the heart, bro. It's all in the heart. When you have the right heart, the music, everything you do, you'll realize money is like just a third quarter of that purpose. It's this world that made so much context behind the power of a dollar. You know what I mean? If we lived in a world where money wasn't our way of living, I could only imagine what kind of revolution would come from that.
So your famous quote, your famous motto is local before global.
Yeah.
You're from Toronto.
Yeah.
The Toronto music scene is huge.
Yeah.
We have Drake at the top. We have almost the three biggest artists in the world. If you think about it, Drake, Justin Bieber, The Weeknd.
Yep.
Okay, so competition, it's not even a question. You have a lot of amazing local talent.
Yep.
But you do a great job in not only exposing that, but you also are part of that, and you are one of the forefronts in this underground Toronto music scene.
Yep.
How do you get to the next level, especially? How do you get more people to come out and to support the idea of local before global?
Well, the idea of support local before global is actually a theory that can apply to every family and in every friendship situation. It's not catered to just music. If Ahmed is in your life and Ahmed has a YouTube channel and you know him and you follow him, and that's you supporting local before global. It's that simple. You viewing this video, commenting, you're supporting local before global. The concept of that is anybody who's building and they're on their way, remember, they need like minimal support from you. Comment, like, repost, reshare. Things that take you under 60 seconds, but that help their career exponentially. Yeah, I don't know if I said that word right. But either way, so to me, how I get people to understand the concept is I make them realize it's not a concept catered to just me, it's also catered to you, because one day you may want to start a business as well. And how are you going to get people to come out to your team when you've never supported anybody else's thing? You have to create a scenario where you receive reciprocal support. So a lot of the people that come out to my shows, yes, some are regular people, but some are artists. The majority of people are artists coming out to support other artists because they realize Toronto's not big enough Toronto does not have the infrastructure to accept all these artists coming from different areas. So if we don't rally together, then we are not working efficiently. The reason why America artists are able to climb at a higher rate, because they build teams, TDE, all these groups and then there's like a branch of artists under all these groups that are all flourishing and doing well. While in Toronto, he's just brought up 3 singular artists: Drake, The Weeknd, and
Justin
Bieber, singular. We don't really have much groups that are really doing well to that degree. And it's because Toronto has a bad infrastructure when it comes to support. The reason why I laughed when you said, yo, your thing is support local before global and you're from Toronto, because the first thing that's in my head is we're in a screw-face capital. We're in an area where someone can come up to you and say, yo, I see what you're doing. I don't really like in common, but I see you. What? You're seeing what I'm doing and you're actively not supporting and allowing me to know because you're afraid of commenting, because you're afraid of people seeing you as a supporter. It's not okay. You're afraid of releasing love. That's the issue in this city. We need to learn how to give love freely. It doesn't take away anything from me to say, yo, Ahmed, you're doing amazing work. What does that take away from me? I get a chance that brother tells me thank you, I say you're welcome, and then next time I'm doing something he compliments me, it's reciprocal support. It doesn't mean your friendship or relationship is perfect. It means you allow yourself to receive love and you work at it in that regard. So to me, the reason why that's my slogan is because I need the support, you need the support, heck, we need the support. Even global people need support, but they need support a lot less than your local person. So, and at the end of the day, it's not like, I don't encourage you to support what you're not a fan of, but I do encourage you to give real constructive criticism. This is trash, it's not constructive criticism. You taking the time to help someone to be like, yo, the way you do the videos, you can do it like this. Whatever you can do, because you're gonna need that constructive criticism as well. So support is done in multiple fashions. So I would just encourage, think about it in your family, your friendships, the people you know on a day-to-day. What can I do to support them? And how much time does it take away? Because a comment and a like is 30 seconds. Even lesser if you get quick with it. So that's me.
When your time is done in this world, how do you want people to remember you?
Deep one, man. I want people to remember me as a light. That's what I want. And I want to influence people to be, we're entering into a very dark world. Things are getting bad. Things are getting bad, and you need people in this universe. I consider myself like an Avenger. Like, I'm a part of the light in the world that needs to keep beaming in the midst of the negativity. So I want people to remember me as a light, as a path, as a navigation. I want my words, my music to be things that help people get through things. I don't just want you to go through. I want you to get through. And I want my life to be my words, my poetry, my pictures, my videos, anything I have. I want to help that. And the children I leave behind, I want them to carry that as the future generation to lead this world in the right direction in the midst of all the misdirection. So that's me. That's what I want the Dash and my true soul to represent.